Hi, and welcome to another Excel demo with Rich Kerr. In this scenario, we're going to take a look at the aggregate function as a more flexible way of doing functions like summing, averaging, etc. Take a look at the data set here. I've got starting in cell A6 over to E. I'm not quite sure how far down I go here. Down to E207. And I've turned on the data filters. And in cells B1 through B4, I've got some traditional formulas for summing up the values, averaging, right? We can find out the maximum value or the count. But look at what happens when I filter my data. If I go to the location column, for example, and filter for, say, San Juan. Well, we know that there's fewer values or fewer results than the total. We can see that we have hidden rows. But my values with those traditional sum, average, max, and count functions still have the same results. Let's take a look at how the more powerful aggregate function can help us in this situation. We'll do equals aggregate over here in cell D1. And the aggregate function takes a few options or arguments. The first is the type of aggregate function you want. So in this case, I want the sum of my data. That's item number 9 in this list of options for the first parameter. Comma, here's where the power lies. The aggregate function lets me decide to ignore certain types of values. Or, in this case, we're going to ignore hidden rows. So that's option 5. And then finally, the array of data that I wish to aggregate is column E. So I'll just enter that for the entirety of column E. And we can see that for San Juan, the total is 98,175. This might remind you of doing a subtotal or a sum function in a table. But the difference here is we can do this with a formula construct and a little bit more flexible than the traditional sum or subtotal, which are going to be initially limited to the width of your table. Of course, you can extract those values out, but there's just a bit more flexibility here. Let's take a look at the average. We'll say equals aggregate. I'm going to do the average, comma, 5 for ignore hidden rows, and then E, colon E. So I now know the average, 2975 for San Juan. Maximum, again, equals aggregate. We see max is one of the available arguments here. So that's 4. And then I'm going to say, comma, 5 for ignore hidden rows. And then I'll do comma, E, colon E for column E. And finally for the count, equals aggregate. We'll do option 2 for count, option 5 for ignore hidden rows, and my array is still column E. There we go. So with the aggregate function, we have a dynamic set of results. So let's say I wanted to filter this further and only show San Juan sales that were made by Diana Prince. We can see the change there. And if I go to my data tab and I clear my filters, then of course these values show the same results as the sum, average, max, and min. So that is the aggregate function. This is a basic set of 4 options with that tool. Tune in again soon for more Excel demos, and we'll definitely be doing a part 2 where we explore more of this powerful function called aggregate in Excel. Thanks for checking in. Have a productive day.